This is Triggered.
And you will be.
Well, it's become that time of the summer where I am hot perpetually.
Oh, listen, I'm having hot flashes now a couple times a day. The whole thing is telling Mike, feel my neck, feel the back of my neck. Like that's my line now. He's like, yes, babe, the back of your neck. And then it goes into like a shiver. I'm like, now feel it. It's cold. He's like, oh my God.
It's like, wow, how long does this go on for? No,
10 to 15 years. 10 to 15 years.
Well, I mean, the good news is I feel like after a little while, it'll just be normal for us, right? Like that'll just be the norm. We won't remember life before. Well, I'm hot.
Okay. Well, I'm watching my dogs wrestle, and I'm sorry if you hear that, but this is where we're at in life. So y'all just going to have to listen to my babies. My little dog is sticking her entire head in my big dog's mouth.
Oh, good.
I don't know. So, yeah, we're having a great time.
The fact that we are recording right now is actually a miracle.
We've been pulling miracles out of our ass this summer because we have been so busy. We haven't missed an episode, which is like actually incredible to me because we are literally fighting for our lives every week.
Every week. And I'm just like I keep thinking like this will be the summer that we're going to have to be like, guys, there's no episode today. This will be the summer. But yet we keep just figuring it out.
We're just like, we have 45 minutes free today. I know it's crazy. But guys, I'm coming to the US of A on Saturday. Now I'm going to Cleveland. And that being said, I was like, I'm gonna do an episode on Cleveland.
I'm so glad. Also, I feel bad for our US friends because they're probably like, these bitches only go to Cleveland.
I know. It just happened that I have a conference in Cleveland this upcoming weekend. Ironic. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Cleveland is calling us. This is where we're supposed to live because everything points us to Cleveland, Ohio all the time.
I hope my family is listening to this and they would have just like belly laughed listening to you be like, maybe Cleveland is calling.
Cleveland, is that you?
Cleveland is not calling. I'm almost sure that Cleveland is not calling.
You know what I found really interesting though, because this is not, I've been to the States a million times, but the hotel we're staying at, it's a beautiful place, but one of the things was I was watching the video of the hotel and they said unlimited soda out of a machine. And I was like, I was tickled. I was like, unlimited Coke Zero as much as I want all day, every day. What do you mean? And there's buffets going on. Buffets. I love a buffet, you guys, but I noticed that in America, that's like a normal thing. It's not as normal here, right? So I'm like, I'm going to drink.
Ash is going to be at the soda station the whole time.
They're going to be like, ma'am, a kid. You've had enough.
They're going to be like, when we said unlimited, we didn't know what was coming.
And like the fact that they call it soda, it just tickles me all around. Anyways, guys, if I asked you to picture Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm basically asking you, Chantel, because, you know, I feel like you'd probably imagine a busy downtown skyline, Lake Erie. Baseball apparently is huge there.
Oh, yes. The Guardians.
And and they have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I've been.
I'm going.
Yeah. You'll love it.
But to me, when I was researching Cleveland, because I was like, well, I need to know what I'm getting into here. You probably wouldn't imagine one of the most terrifying unsolved murder investigations in American history.
I would not, but I am here for it. I want it.
Okay. But to understand the Cleveland torso murders, because that's what we're going to get into,
boy.
we have to forget Cleveland as we know it today. Instead, I want you to come with me to 1935 Cleveland.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So the Great Depression had ripped through the United States for nearly 6 years. Banks were failing, factories were closed, families lost their home. Almost overnight, the Great Depression ripped the entire nation apart.
Yeah.
Millions of Americans found themselves searching for something as simple and as impossible as steady work. And as I was reading this, you guys, I couldn't help but think, and I don't follow like the economics of the United States, but we're almost there in Canada, which scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, it's getting very bad here. If you don't know, it's probably because they don't want you to know. But if you actually look into where we're sitting as a country right now, it's pretty terrifying.
It's very dire. And when I was, doing the research, I was like, is this story happening right now?
Does this play about us?
Yeah. And for many, the railroad became both a lifeline and a last resort. So freight trains carried thousands of desperate people from city to city. Some were looking for jobs, some were running from debt, and some were veterans had returned from war to discover there was no place left for them. So it was really a very sad time. And other people just had nowhere to go. And eventually, many of them arrived in Cleveland.
All right.
Yeah. And not because Cleveland promised some kind of grand opportunity, but because it still offered hope. It was actually an industrial powerhouse. They had steel mills, oil refineries, factories, warehouses. If there was work anywhere, people were like, this is where we're going to find it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with all these people coming in, there wasn't enough work for everyone. So those who couldn't afford rent built lives wherever they could, under bridges, beside railroad tracks, inside abandoned buildings. They created makeshift homes from scrap wood, tar paper, old doors, discarded tin, and whatever else they could essentially find. It was horrible. Now, these communities actually had names.
Oh.
Hobo jungles.
That's so offensive.
It's so offensive. And
it's the 1930s.
Guys, don't come for me. This is just what I found. I didn't name it a hobo jungle. It's early. And they also had a place, an area they called shanty towns. So,
yes. Okay, I've heard that before.
Yeah, right. And one place stood apart from the others, and I'm curious if you've heard of it, but they called it Kingsbury Run.
Oh, yes, I have heard of it.
Is that still?
I don't know if it's still a thing, but I've heard of it. I wonder why. Listen, so, you know that there are things in my head that we don't know how they got there.
Well, I can kind of maybe give you some clarity. Yeah, so Kingsbury Run was stretching through Cleveland's Industrial Valley. It wasn't a neighborhood in the way most people think of. It was a forgotten world beneath the city itself. Freight trains rumbled overhead every hour. The air carried that smell of coal smoke, machine oil, and damp earth. Just that, I can smell it. That musty, moldy, dark.
Yeah. I'm excited for you to go to Cleveland because you still see that it was a city built on industrial. Like,
I'm very excited.
It's very apparent. Yeah.
And thousands of people lived here, not because they wanted to, but because they had nowhere else to go. And despite everything, life continued. Children played, couples fell in love, neighbors shared food, veterans swapped stories around campfires. People celebrated birthdays, people mourned losses. This was a community. People were laughing, people were living, people survived. And Kingsbury Run wasn't filled with statistics. It was filled with people. And I found that very intriguing.
Uh-huh.
They made a world below the world,
And they
you
made it work.
know? Yeah, and these people had names and they had dreams and families and histories. And like every community, they believe tomorrow might finally be better than the one before. And that
Yeah.
is beautiful to me.
Uh-huh.
But there was something else about Kingsbury Run, something that made it unlike anywhere else in Cleveland. Police rarely came there.
Uh-huh.
City officials were not coming by. Newspapers
No.
never mentioned it unless something big or troublesome happened. For much of Cleveland, the people living there were basically invisible.
That's so
And when
sad.
yeah, and as you know, when people become invisible, something dangerous can happen. And you see that in big
Yeah.
cities, right? Where you look at like areas like in Ottawa, for instance, under the Rideau Bridge, people are living under there. We have little small pockets of homeless and no one goes there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only time people go there is when something bad has happened.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And it's even in a better situation because at least the police visit. It sounds like Kingsbury Run, nobody cared.
Well, and this is it. And if someone disappears from these areas, who's left to notice? Because
Yeah.
in September of 1935, my dear friends, someone did disappear.
Ruh-roh.
Or maybe they had been gone for days. No one could say for certain, but they could say that two young boys exploring near the railroad tracks were about to stumble onto a discovery that would change Cleveland forever. Dun, dun, dun.
We now have sound in triggered. Dun, dun, dun. I mean, I have an idea considering it's called the torso
I mean, well,
slayings. Like, I think I know what they found, but please tell me.
September 23rd, 1935. It was a Monday. Late summer was beginning to give way to fall, and along the banks of Kingsbury Run, life looked much the same as it had the days before. Freight trains still thundered overhead, smoke still drifted from factories, the city kept moving. No one knew that before the day was over, Cleveland would become a setting for one of the most infamous unsolved murders in investigative history. Near
Oh,
East
snap.
So near East 49th Street, not far from the railroad tracks, a discovery was made. Now, at first, it didn't make sense. Lying in the brush was the lower half of a woman's body.
No. Immediately, absolutely no.
Now, not long after, investigators found the upper half nearby.
So just right in half.
Clean right across the mid.
That makes me feel weak. Okay.
I know. So whoever had left her there had done so deliberately.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the remains showed evidence of careful dismemberment. So this isn't a panic hack. This is like not some messy job. The killer had taken time. There was experience needed to do such a job. There was control. And as officers searched the surrounding areas, they made another horrifying discovery. Only a short distance away, they found the body of a man.
Okay.
Like the woman, he had been decapitated.
Okay, so the woman's body didn't have a head either. Got it.
So they found her torso, her bottom half.
Mm-hmm.
Then they find a man and his head's gone. And
Okay.
right. So for investigators, obviously, immediately they're like, shit, these are not unrelated. These have to be the same person
Oh
because
my God.
this person had placed two victims in the same isolated stretch of Kingsbury Run. They wanted them to find these bodies. Now, the woman has never been conclusively identified. Today, she remains
No.
simply as Jane Doe 1.
Oh no. Okay.
And sometimes people will call her Lady of the Lake.
Okay.
though historians continue to debate some of the early details recorded in newspaper accounts. So, like, we are 1935, right? This is
Right.
not, we have
Exactly.
to remember that.
Yeah.
Now, the male victim was eventually identified. His name was Edward Andrassy. He was 28
Okay.
years old. He wasn't a wealthy businessman. He wasn't famous. He wasn't politically connected. Like so many people living through the Depression, his life had become complicated. He drifted between jobs. He spent time in and around Cleveland's poor neighborhoods. He was known to local police, not as a violent criminal, though, but someone trying to survive, essentially, like petty theft, shit like that. And that mattered because in 1935, people like Edward Andrassy often disappeared without generating any headlines. The poor weren't searched for in the way the wealthy were. And we still see that today.
We still see that. And you know what? Like, you talking about this just reminds me I want to remind everyone that the people that you see on the streets, the people that you see, doing the Fenty fold, the people that you see struggling with drugs and homelessness and all these things, there was a day where someone loved them deeply and had hopes and dreams for them. Every single one of them. Someone's parent looked at a newborn baby and could have never imagined that this is where they ended up.
It breaks me. And I think about that all the time. Well, you know me. I know. I actually have homeless friends that are on the corner. I always save my change. Speaking of
which,
heart
for them.
One of my buddies, Mike just laughs at me, but one of my regulars that sits on the corner when I turn to work has not been there in 2 days. So I've been really concerned, and I did go looking for him yesterday, but I haven't been able to find him. But that's a whole other story. So missing person investigations rarely received the same urgency as people of wealthy ones. So someone's missing, and they're like, well, he probably went to find another job. Like, this is just the reality of what we're living in. There were no records on these people, and sometimes there simply wasn't anyone to report a person missing. So now police are faced with questions they can't answer. They have anyone to ask. They're basically, it's a needle in a haystack at this point. And who is this woman? And why were they both decapitated? Why were the bodies left together? And perhaps most disturbing of all, for me anyways, was this person out there going to kill again?
I'm going with yeah.
Right? I mean, I think the hope was no, because they wanted to believe this was an isolated crime, just a bad tragedy.
I know, but in the situation where they found like surgically removed body parts, this is someone who's like, this is now their hobby, unfortunately.
100%. And just like we've known with like the Green River Killer, these people are always going to be targeted because of the fact that they're kind of nomads.
Yes.
Within months, another body would be found, then another, and another. And Cleveland would slowly realize they weren't hunting a murderer. They were actually hunting a serial killer. Now, before we get into what was happening, I think that we need to talk about the victims of the people whose lives were taken, because I don't want this to be, it was in 1935, these people.
No, and that's the thing. Like, and it's hard with cases like this, guys, because like Ash was saying, like, we don't always have records. We don't always know who it was, but they still matter just as much as, someone who got murdered last week. Like, it still matters.
Yeah. So these were people, and we are victim focused on this podcast. So even if we don't know their names, I just want to take a moment and for people to understand that these were people with hopes and dreams and love, and,
Yes.
So I just, that for me, as I was reading this, I'm like, oh my God, Jane Does of the world, John Does of the world, they're still people of the world.
Yes, and they
It really
still
bothers
matter.
me.
I know. I know when we get into especially cases with Jane Does and John Does, like it just breaks my heart because I'm like, who are you? Like, surely you were here for a purpose. Surely you were here for a reason. Like, why can't we figure this out? Why is no one looking for you? It's hard to go down that hole because it's so depressing.
Well, and the thing is, when you look back at the police records of this case,
Mhm.
um, they were labeled as drifter, transient.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
would use labels that would strip away the individuality of a person. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that makes you almost, when you read of victims, you're looking at these people and you're like, oh, it was a homeless person. If you say homeless person, you just get a generalized idea of what someone is. But they
Yeah.
don't say, like, it was a father trying to earn enough money to feed his family or a veteran haunted by
Exactly.
war.
Exactly.
So I think those labels make it easy to forget that every victim had a life before they became a headline. And that invisibility is what made this killer able to do what they did.
Hmm.
But despite all the uncertainty of who these people were, something was very painfully clear. The first two victims had not been an isolated tragedy. Cleveland was about to learn that a murderer was still out there and he was not finished. So when the news of the first murder broke, many people believed they were looking at a terrible isolated crime, as we've said. Cleveland had seen plenty of violence, which is common for every major city. So
Hmm.
this is not anything new. Investigators are working around the clock, interviewing witnesses, tracing victims' final movements. The search for Kingsbury Run. Was there something left behind? Is there evidence? But you have to kind of remember there's stuff scattered everywhere. People are living outside. You're not going to find fingerprints, a murder weapon. Like
No, and it's the 30s in Cleveland and Kingsbury Run. Like,
right.
come on.
Right. Then another body was found, and then
Oh,
another, and
oh
another, and
no.
which each
Oof.
discovery disturbing similarities began to emerge. Many of the victims were decapitated. Several had been dismembered. In some cases, investigators believed the killer had knowledge of anatomy. Now, here's the thing though. So investigators, in reports were saying he had to have known anatomy because this was very precise, very deliberate. But experts have long debated whether that meant a form of medical training. Could this have been like a veterinarian assistant? Like there's a lot of different avenues you could take this.
Even someone who studied
Yeah.
anatomy closely in school or even just as a hobby, like people used to go hang out at libraries because what else are you doing? It could have been anyone.
Well, yeah. So the whole,
Hmm.
people all over Cleveland are essentially freaking out. Parents are
Yes.
telling their kids do not wander. Everyone's locking their doors now where maybe they weren't doing that before. Conversations in barbershops, diners, factory lunchrooms are all circling back to the same question: who is doing this?
Hmm.
And of course, with something like this, the newspapers can't get enough of it. So bold headlines every single day are coming out. And rumors are spreading faster than fire. Like, it's got to be a doctor in town. Others said, oh, he probably works in a butcher shop or a slaughterhouse. And some people were saying he was this midnight cruiser riding along the railway. Like, there were so many theories, but no proof at all. People are just creating this scary monster out of nothing.
And we still do this today.
We do this all the time,
I can't believe the shit I see. Where I'm like,
right?
there's absolutely no factual evidence for what you're saying right now. And they just go off.
Well, this is it. And like now people are kind of taking note. Oh, I saw,
Mm,
John every day and now he's gone. So then people would be like, where did John go? Has he become the next murder victim? And it was just becoming an avalanche
yeah,
of
no kidding.
people. And the killer continued, and the body count is growing, and the pressure on Cleveland
Mm.
police becomes overwhelming, and city officials are demanding answers, and newspapers are demanding arrests, and people are demanding safety. And I could just imagine this whole thing coming out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But despite countless interviews and endless hours of investigations, there is no clue,
Oh,
like
God.
nothing. So the city called in a man they believed could solve anything. His name was Eliot Ness, and by the mid-30s, he was already a national celebrity.
All right.
He is the lawman who helped bring down Al Capone.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And if
All right.
anyone
So,
could stop a killer, it's the guy who caught Al Capone.
honestly, that's all you need on your resume.
Actually, Al Capone had a cottage not far from where we grew up.
Oh, I know. Let's go check it out next time we're home.
So, during Prohibition, if anyone doesn't know, he became famous as the leader of a small team of federal agents known as the Untouchables. So Al Capone was this bootlegger, like gangster.
Big time.
Big time famous. Like he was like an OG back in the day, right? And Eliot Ness came in and he was part of these agents known as the Untouchables, and their mission was to bring down Al Capone. And it's so
How
like
cool.
I see the pinstripe suits, and like I can just imagine what all that was like during that time. So, bringing down Al Capone during a time when organized crime was untouchable, Ness represented something people wanted to believe in, that the law would win, right? This guy was going to come in and he was going to serve as Cleveland's director of public safety.
Okay.
Everyone was like, he's here. We're fine. We're safe. Like, I just...
Get it, Ness.
Right? So he oversaw the police, the fire, the traffic, public safety across the city. But the murders are continuing. And they want answers. Like, people are like, okay, Ness, you're here. You defeated Al Capone. Let's go. So I could just imagine the pressure this man was under.
Honestly.
Because Al Capone would have left a trail. He was wealthy. He was well known, The
Well, and have you ever
the bootlegging.
The ladies and the bootlegging. And have you ever been in I joke around in my line of work where the reward for doing good work is you get more work. And I imagine this is how he felt, where he was like, cool, I'm glad that I took down Al Capone, but like, now you're asking me to solve this murder
of a serial
These
killer?
murders, a serial killer who's like cutting people up into chunks.
So this guy threw enormous resources into the investigation because the amount of pressure this poor guy was under.
No kidding. I can't imagine.
So he had to follow leads, and he had to follow the little amount of information he had. So known offenders were questioned. Doctors, butchers, railroad workers, transients, anyone who might know something or fit someone's theory, which there were many of them.
I can only imagine.
But there is no evidence. We have to remember, you've basically just stuck this guy to find a needle in a haystack.
Seriously.
And the killer seemed to understand exactly how to leave investigators with nothing. So this isn't just some Joe Blow bumping around with a fucking hacksaw. He's making sure there are no eyewitnesses, there's no weapon, no fingerprints. Every discovery created more questions than answers. And then, my friends, Ness made one of the most controversial decisions of his career.
Ooh, I like controversy.
In August of 1938, after yet another series of murders, he ordered police to clear Kingsbury Run. He was like, get them out of here.
Everyone's got to go.
Everyone's got to go. I have, part of me is like, well, there is a serial killer, so part of me is like, yeah, maybe you guys should go. But then also we have to understand this is a community. Yeah, it might be makeshift, makeshift homes and shanties, but like They cleared this place out. They tore down their homes, which broke my
Yeah.
heart. And I know that sounds silly, but you know how I am about that.
The thing about it is that I get it. From a management standpoint, of course they had to do that because it sucks, but it was such an isolated part of the city. Like, sorry guys, but your community has to move somewhere above ground where like people can see you and there's
Yeah.
witnesses around and stuff. Like, you guys are dying at the hands of this guy.
Well, and essentially Ness is like, okay, this area is the hunting ground. So if we get rid of the hunting ground, he'll surface, right? Which I can understand the theory.
Yeah, me too.
So they go in, they clear out this entire area, and they're like, okay, he's nowhere to go. The murders are going to stop. And in one sense, they did. Because no further murders have been officially linked to the Cleveland torso case after that period. But this is where history becomes complicated. Now, did burning Kingsbury Run stop the killer? Or had the killer already stopped?
Oh, boy.
No one knows. Some historians argue the operation disrupted the killer's access to vulnerable victims. Others believe the timing was simply a coincidence. And there is no definitive evidence proving either theory. But what we do know is that the decision remains one of the most debated moments in Eliot Ness's career. Because for some, he was a determined public servant doing everything he could with the tools he had available.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, the big debate here, though, is for others, the destruction of Kingsbury Run punished the very people he was trying to protect.
No, I'm kind of with the, what else was he going to do? These bodies are piling up. Like, something drastic had to happen.
And yes, and for nearly 90 years, historians are still debating this, babe. Like, they're still debating whether Ness made the right call. But while Cleveland argued about strategy, the investigation was about to take an even stranger turn.
Oh.
Because detectives believed they had finally found a suspect, a man whose name would become forever connected to this mystery. Dr. Francis Sweeney.
Oh, what a name.
I think Sweeney Todd. Because, of course.
Of course you do. Of course you do, Ash.
Now, this name kept resurfacing. Detectives, every time they would think, oh, okay, we have a bit of a lead, Dr. Francis Sweeney pops up. And it wasn't just another anonymous tip. He was a physician. He had served as a military doctor during the First World War, where he would have encountered traumatic injuries and amputations on a scale few people could imagine. Some investigators believed his medical background could explain the precision seen in several of the murders.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's where we need to be very careful, because having medical training does not prove someone committed a crime.
No.
It's
and
simply
we've seen this in other crimes too.
Right? But we've also seen a lot of pretty wild serial killers in the past that were physicians.
So many, or that had knowledge of biology and anatomy.
Right. So him having all this medical knowledge became one of several reasons they took interest in him. Because Sweeney also struggled with severe alcoholism and mental health issues during different periods of his life. So he wasn't a hometown family physician. He was going through some shit. But again, not evidence of being a murderer. So what made investigators pay even more close attention to this guy was his connections to the area and the fact that he reportedly knew parts of Cleveland very well.
Okay. All right. So he's looking like a good suspect.
He's a good suspect. And over time, the investigation became increasingly focused on him. And then came one of the most discussed moments of this entire case. And if you go on Reddit, it's too much. It's too much.
It's too much.
Eliot Ness personally arranged for Dr. Sweeney to undergo extensive polygraph examinations.
Okay.
Now, today, most experts would agree that polygraph tests cannot reliably determine whether someone is telling the truth. And let's be honest, in 1930,
I was just going to say, we're talking about what, 38, 39? Like,
yeah, they were probably less reliable than they are now.
Than they
and
are
they're still
now.
not 100% reliable.
yeah.
And accounts differ on exactly what happened during those examinations, but some reports claim Sweeney reacted in ways investigators found suspicious.
Okay.
And others did question how those results were interpreted. So what is clear is that the examinations did not produce evidence that could support criminal charges. No physical evidence tied Francis Sweeney to the murders. Obviously, we have no eyewitnesses, no forensic evidence. And without that, the investigation just kind of hits a wall. So there were times where they're like, he's lying. But again, there's no evidence. There's no solid proof.
Right.
So,
Right.
and
so what are they going to
eventually,
do?
right. And eventually, Dr. Francis Sweeney admitted himself to a psychiatric hospital. And he would spend much of the remainder of his life in institutional care.
But he never admitted to the crimes.
And he was never arrested for the Cleveland torso murders, ever.
Okay.
He was never tried, never convicted, yet
Okay.
his name remains permanently attached to this mystery. Many, and I'm talking many, books and documentaries described him as the most likely suspect. But again,
Well, it kind of sounds like he might be, but again, without any proof, you know?
well, and
What do
this
you
is
do?
it. And historians are still debating just how strong the case against him really was. So the Cleveland torso murders remain officially unsolved. But while detectives were watching Dr. Sweeney, another tragedy unfolded.
Oh.
Girl, Cleveland it's a whole situation over there. One involving a man named Frank Dolezal.
Okay.
I'm hoping I'm saying that correct. I'm saying it how I see it, guys. As we know,
You know
like
what?
to do that.
We're doing the best we can. Somebody told us on YouTube in a comment that that we were Valley Girl up talk and he couldn't stand it. So you're welcome. You say that last name however you want.
Thank you, babe. So Frank Dolezal, and for many historians, it was his death that created questions. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So Dolezal was questioned after investigators believed he may have known one of the victims. During interrogation, he signed a confession connected to the murder of Florence Polillo.
Okay.
She was one of the identified victims.
And she was cut up like the other ones?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
But almost immediately, questions began to surface. Not about the confession, but how it had been obtained. Because, guys, Frank didn't even make it to trial after signing this confession because he was found dead inside his jail cell. Fuck.
Which he did himself?
They ruled his death suicide.
Okay.
But a lot of people question that conclusion because, again, decades of historians and journalists and researchers have continued to debate the circumstances around his death. Some believe, yes, he took his own life. Others have argued that the evidence raises unanswered questions. We're still debating this 90-some years later.
Well, here's the thing. And in any case where a suspect commits suicide,
Right.
I always assume they're guilty. Always.
Well, this is it. It doesn't look good.
No.
Right? And any possibility of learning the full truth is gone. So we have to look at it because by the late 1930s, the murders stopped.
Oh.
Right. And the murders officially connected to the Cleveland torso investigation shut down. They were like, nothing else is attached to this murderer.
Okay.
So that does lead you to wonder. He was arrested. The murder
Then they
stopped.
stopped.
But then we have Sweeney.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Okay.
But the thing is, like, if you had an educated person, which we're assuming this murderer is, and so Sweeney gets arrested, and then Dole, I'm not going to try to say his last name, gets
Dolezal.
arrested, kills himself. They assume it's him. If you were a smart person and it was like an experimental thing,
Yeah.
and you were looking for a way out,
Right.
this would be it.
Mm.
Like if you were smart, you would be like,
You're
okay,
like-
he just committed suicide. I got to stop. I got to move away. I'm out.
But then America entered another era, my love.
Oh boy.
World War II.
Yeah.
So this case gets closed. We go into World War II. We have new presidents. We have, new fears, and eventually new generations of people who had never even heard of Kingsbury Run. Right? The makeshift homes were gone, factories changed, highways were built, and the landscape completely transformed. And if you stand there today, it's difficult to imagine what once existed beneath your feet.
Yeah, no kidding.
But something remarkable has happened in recent years.
Okay.
Because modern forensic science has given investigators tools they could have never imagined in 1935. This is your favorite.
I love this shit.
Right? So now we have forensic genealogy. We have advanced DNA analysis, careful archival research. Organizations and investigators continue working to identify the victims that remain unnamed. Which I'm like, fuck, right? Like, come on. This is fucking awesome.
I always love this. Like, can we please, like, every time that I hear that they've put a name and a story to like an unknown Jane Doe over the years, like it just warms my heart because it's like, finally.
Absolutely. Now, even after nearly a century, stories aren't over. New identifications are coming through all the time. Families are getting answers. People are getting their names back. And maybe that's what this story has always been about. Not the man who murdered them, but the people that history almost forgot about. Because the killers stole their lives, but history stole their names.
Oh, wow.
So the Cleveland torso murders are still unsolved. Some historians believe it was Dr. Sweeney. He was the strongest suspect. Others believe there wasn't enough evidence. And perhaps that's the hardest part of this story because we may never know who committed these crimes.
And I hate that.
But we do know this. Edward Andrassy was real. Florence Polillo was real. The unidentified victims were real. They laughed, they struggled, they hoped, they mattered. And today, for a little while, they will not be forgotten. So if you're ever in Cleveland, my friends, like I will be, you probably won't find a monument marking Kingsbury Run. You may drive past it without realizing what you're driving past. But now you know. And maybe that's the closest thing to this forgotten city we'll ever come to. So that's my story of Cleveland.
Thank you so much. All I've been able to think about, well, obviously the victims, because I do care. That sounds awful. Just people disappearing and showing up in pieces. But also, can you imagine, like, we're desensitized in our generation, in our society.
Completely.
But can you imagine finding the bottom half of a woman
No.
in 1930 whatever?
Can you imagine being the people that lived in Kingsbury Run during that time?
No.
And now it's gone, but that would have been such a huge part. Like, children grew up there. That was
crazy.
your childhood.
Mom was just like, have a good day. Don't get murdered and dismembered. Goodbye. Like, what?
I know.
Oh, man.
So I'm sorry there is no conclusion to this. I'm hoping someday,
No,
somehow, some way, but it's a part of the history of Cleveland, and I think it needs to be
absolutely.
spoken about.
Well, I'm so glad that you told us about it
You're very
because
welcome.
I didn't really know about that. And now I'm going to want to go searching for Kingsbury Run. And Matt's going to be like, no, we're not
I'm
doing that.
going. I'll
Because
take a
every
video.
single time, yeah, could you? Because
Yeah.
every single time I want to go see something in Cleveland, my family's like, you can't go down there. I'm so sorry.
Mhm. Yeah.
But well, thank you so much. I appreciate you bringing to light the story that maybe we didn't know about. Um, I'm so proud of us that we got through this. Guys,
I
if
know.
you sometimes there's shit going on in the background. You may have heard dogs, you may have heard drills, you may have heard sneezing. There's so many things that you could have heard today.
Yep.
But we did it and I'm proud of us. High five. All right. Thank you for listening and we'll see you all on Friday.
Friday. Bye.
Bye.